intro.
Yeah, I know, man.
Epic, man.
Yeah, we like to do things big. The production value is somewhat decent.
Really, Drew?
The,
Really? You just had to go there, didn't you?
the
Big.
budget was good for the month, I guess.
Look, just stand back. I don't mean to drop my dick on you right here at the beginning of the show, but why a thump?
Damn you, Tommy. Oh, man. It's a good thing I didn't take a sip of my coffee right there. All right. Wow, we've got a lot of people showing up in the chat. We got a great guest for you guys tonight. We've got my friend Chase Geiser. He is the host of the One American podcast on you can find it on Apple Podcasts. I know we've got his Apple Podcast links floating around, so make sure that you patronize his podcast because he does really, really awesome work, guys. And he is not the typical political podcaster whatsoever. And that's what I think makes Chase really awesome. And he and I met actually on Twitter Spaces. We became pretty fast friends, and I absolutely love his takes on the way that he looks at modern politics. And you guys are really going to enjoy tonight's program with him here. And also, of course, we've got Tommy in the house, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. We've got Zach, aka Brightest Day, and we should have our buddy Immortal Toil coming in, and of course, our favorite legendary comic artist, if he can make it, Vinnie Tartaglia. And so, hopefully those guys can make it in a little bit later. But I've been looking forward to the show. I know we've had a rough couple days around our YouTube circle. Our friend JJ, aka Sith Lord 3827, he passed suddenly. We still, Tommy, last you heard, it's still pretty much likely that it was just a heart attack. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've heard so far. I haven't heard anything new on it so far. I'm still waiting, but I'm also waiting to hear back from Hanstar. He's going to let me know when the services are going to be held, and then I'm more than likely going to be catching probably a plane, a train, and an automobile and heading up to Jackson, so I can go see see it and everything. So
okay, well,
but real quick though, Drew, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody else that stopped by, Mary and Walton, Krish, Mora, everybody that jumped on that panel to actually say kind words about JJ and help us all actually get through that moment together, including all the amazing people in the chat that came through. And did you notice not a troll came through? Not a single troll. They know. The trolls know if they show up to my channel, I've got everybody damn near modded in that chat, and they're going to get taken out with a quickness. Toes will be nibbled off. We'll leave jelly beans on their doorway. They'll know what happened. But they didn't come through. They didn't come through. But no, such amazing people that came through and shared all those fond memories of JJ. I don't think we could have given them a better send-off. And then that was, of course, followed up by Anzo and the group of people he got together to pay tribute to him as well.
Yeah, and listen, just in touching on the situation with JJ, he meant a lot to this community. He really was the best of humanity. He was a kind-hearted person. He was an old school Southern gentleman, and I really appreciated that about JJ. You always knew where you stood with the guy, but he always was generous with his time. And he was a true blue friend. Whenever you needed him, he was right there. And I think a lot of us could take a lesson from him in how generous he was. He always stayed even keel. He never got too big for his britches, and he always was there for anybody that needed him. And that, I think, is one of the most endearing things about him, and one of the things I've always respected about him. So he will be missed, and as I stated in that tweet yesterday, I hope that God is taking good care of him up there, and I know that that's why I went on with the show today, because one thing that JJ would say if he was here is, why are you fussing over me, man? Just do the show. Just do
The
your
show
show,
must go
Drew.
on. And you know what, Drew? You're wrong about one thing. He's not going to be up in heaven. He's going to be up in that great Waffle House in the sky.
That's right. He's right. He likes that Waffle House, this boy. He loves that Waffle House coffee. So, rest in peace, my friend. And just know, folks, that this show is dedicated to the memory of JJ tonight. So,
So say we all.
so say we
all.
all. Absolutely. And without further ado, I want to hand it over to Chase and let him introduce himself to you wonderful folks out there in the chat. And we'll get to you guys here in a second and give you guys your props. But first, let's go to Chase and let him say a few things.
Thanks. I appreciate it. So, as you said, my name is Chase Geiser. I host a podcast called One American Podcast. You can watch it or listen to it anywhere podcasts are watched or listened to, pretty much. And follow me on Twitter at Real Chase Geiser for political content that's pretty controversial most of the time. I suppose there are a lot of trolls, but basically my whole shtick is I am one American, and I'm doing what I can as just an average guy to try to reawaken a little bit of Americanism, a little bit of American chauvinism. I think that American values, as traditionally propagandized by America, are awesome, and I'm trying to bring some of those things back. That's basically my shtick.
Yeah. And here is Immortal Coil. What's going on, buddy?
What's happening, you guys?
Yeah.
Immortal, what's your first name?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Him.
Immortal Coil.
Got it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, man. What's up, Z? How are you? Oh man. So the thing is, that's what I appreciate about your outlook, and I think that's why we get along, Chase, because I'm trying to do like the same thing with my Rogue Resistance show here, and that is just kind of approach it from the mindset of the average American, because everybody sees like the people that they trot out on Fox News, and it's so cringy, or any of the cable networks, and you're not getting a perspective of somebody that's actually there, that's like been at street level, that's lived through some struggle, or has an interesting family history. No, what you're getting is usually these people that have been silver spoon people. They've gone to Ivy League schools, and they're just look at my fancy broadcasting degree, and they're sitting on their smiling big for the camera, and when really they don't know shit other than the fact that it's like, oh well, I like my 6-figure salary, and fuck you, and
6 figures, man, 7 figures.
well, yeah, 7 figures for the big times. God, yeah, exactly. And it's like I think that's why people turn to us, to people like you, people like this show, for a real perspective. Because we're not going to sit there and, try to, I guess, infuse like partisanism on people. We're going to keep it real. And that's what I think is so good.
Yeah.
Because sure, I'm at the end of the day, I'm a registered Republican, but I am a free thinker.
Sure.
Okay, and that is, I think, what's important. People feel like they have to march along to the tune of one party or the other, and that's never been the case at all. And free thought got lost a while ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things, it was funny. I was in South Carolina with my wife and her family recently, and I was walking down the street, and there was some nice guy that was handing out flyers trying to raise money for something. I don't know if it was like Greenpeace or something. I don't know. He's like, "Are you interested in making a contribution today?" And I just looked at him. I was like, "Man, I'm just worried about my mortgage." And he's like, "Me too, man." And it's like these talking heads, whether they're politicians or whether they're broadcasters, news anchors, pundits, it's like where are the Americans in our political process, like real Americans that worry about things like their mortgage or have to send their kids to public school because they can't afford private school, and so they're worried about things like critical race theory being taught in schools and whether or not their kid's going to be shamed for whatever race they are. And so I don't know. I hope that Americans take the United States back. I've always said that there's a big difference between America and the United States. They're two different things. And I just hope that one day the United States becomes the United States of America again.
I hope so too. I really do. And I think that with the groundswell of people waking up to what's going on, because there's so many things, bro, that just have happened through, we had the 4 years of the Trump presidency. But the one thing I'm grateful to President Trump for was pulling back the curtain and, just like the average layperson got to see like, holy shit, this is what's really going on. And that is what leaves me hope, because I think that people understand now, that, yeah, there are crazy, weird assholes out there, like uber rich, crazy assholes that want to, literally turn shit into a one world socialist government.
But Drew, that's how he got in trouble in the first place, pulling on the curtains, because he said grab him by the pussy. When you go pulling meat curtains like that, you're going to get in a lot of trouble.
I tell you what, Trump can grab me by the pussy any day.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Tommy.
We should make a t-shirt, grab me by the pussy, for rallies. How many people do you think would wear it? I bet you
that's merch. Oh my gosh. Oh god.
Rogue Entertainment presents "Grab Me by the Pussy," the hoodie.
I'm still waiting for somebody to actually do a shirt for the chick that was on the freaking podcast, the sex podcast, whatever, and she shot herself in the meat curtain. The one that was in the park.
What happened?
I was all over the news feeds the other day. Yeah, an adult performer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There is a 9mm behind the curtain.
Pretty much, dude.
There is a 223 behind the curtain.
Oh,
trigger discipline.
Yeah. I saw that story, man. That was nuts. But no, it's good to have an alternative out there. And the thing is, independent media is so much on the rise, and that I think is what's needed, because media has become this kind of like almost like Ministry of Truth style abomination, and that's worldwide. It's turned into that because you click on big channels across insert country here, it's the same shit. It looks a lot like government controlled media.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy, that's like the principle behind freedom of speech too. It's not made to protect people who want to express or say what is popularly accepted. Because if that were the case, you'd never have to have that protection legally anyway. It's designed to protect speech that is not popularly accepted or critical of the powers that be, right? And so it's a shame that we've gotten to this place where the federal government is able to outsource First Amendment violations to the private sector so that it's legal. And what they do is they just push on these companies that they have a lot of leverage over, like Twitter, Google, Facebook, these big tech companies, because these companies are constantly under threat of being subject to antitrust litigation. So they know that if they don't play by the rules of whatever the narrative is or whatever the powers that be are, that they're subject to have to really pay for that in a very tangible, real, difficult way. And I don't think that our forefathers ever could have predicted that there would be private businesses that would sort of replace the public square of communication. And if they had made that prediction, I think that those protections would have been written into the document.
Well, you know what, Chase? I think one of the most annoying things about it when we're talking about all these different social media platforms, and whether it's Twitter or it's YouTube or any of them, is the fact that they sit there and they hide behind that Article 230. They want that protection from 230, but yet they don't want to abide by it, and they want to claim that they're independent publishers, but they don't act like independent publishers. If they did, they would treat, especially like someplace like YouTube, they would treat everybody that's on there making content almost like an employee at that point. If they're independent publishers, we are outsourced contractors. So we should be getting paid for our time and our efforts, and we don't.
That's a good point. You should send an invoice to Twitter for like however many hours you spent.
Yes.
Just $7.25 an hour federal minimum wage. Just invoice them.
I'm creating content for you, Twitter.
You guys haven't paid me shit.
Every time I put that space up, you bastards.
So more to the point, YouTube got rid of its dislike button.
Yeah.
Exactly because of things like you're talking about.
Oh,
yeah.
There's no official way to push back against government and big media and all that stuff.
Oh,
they don't want us to.
Immortal, you saw the L's that the White House page was taking on a regular basis, man. Anytime
Absolutely.
Biden had a public speech and they put a YouTube video out, man, it would get ratioed within seconds.
You know what really sucks about that to me, and I don't want to just like monopolize the conversation, but I watch a lot of how-to videos on YouTube. Right, just like regular stuff, like how to do this in Photoshop, how to do this in Final Cut Pro, whatever. Right. And when I go to a YouTube how-to video, before wasting 15 minutes watching it, I look at the ratio like to dislike to know if this advice is actually going to work. So with that gone, it's just going to be a huge waste of time for anybody trying to watch any ordinary how-to video. It's just a huge pain in the ass.
Oh, it is absolutely.
Same thing. Whether you're going to get served salmonella at your local restaurant, we need to know these things.
Right. That's right.
It's not completely gone yet. There are extensions out there that you can get, and I believe Brave Browser automatically still shows you the dislike count. And even if that weren't the case, the first thing you should do now, if that's going to be the case going forward, is just to jump right to the comments and see what the comments say.
You're right. You're right. There's ways around it.
Yeah, I'm going to go and kind of catch up on the chat. Chat's been flying by. So let me scroll back up here before we're like stuck in Chatland. So yeah, let's say hi to our chatters today. We have Nelson the gentleman. Thank you for the kind words about my mom, and thank you for keeping us in your prayers, Nelson. Also, Tina Bojan, great to see you. And Tina, thank you so much for pulling moderator duty for the stream. You are an absolute wonderful lady and great supporter around our entire community. So thank you. Keely Chow is in the house. Hail Keely Chow. And yes, indeed, Keely, rip to JJ. Ruben Christopher Haynes, great to see you, my friend. Thank you also, sir, for your prayers, and God bless you, my friend. Great to see him. And also we've got wonderful lady, the Arlington girls in the house. Great to see you. Lopter, Doomsday Demon King of Inferno, what's up, my friend? Another monster. Great to see you. Man, we've got a lot of folks up in here. We've got
when she said hail, I thought she said Heil. I was like, Jesus.
No, we say hail like the old school English reading.
You wouldn't be the first to make that assessment, though.
Soul Assassin is here. Great to see you, SA. Always happy to see you. So you indeed are one of the good dudes that I know around this community.
It's a great dog.
Absolutely, Soul Assassin. We are Legion.
Hail, Time Prophet.
Whoa, guys! CNN just suspended Chris Cuomo indefinitely. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Whoa.
I was laughing.
Was that earlier or was that just now?
That was like maybe about an hour or two ago, I think.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I just recently retweeted it out too. So
Dragon Master 360, yes, app in the chat for JJ for sure.
What's your Twitter handle? You guys.
Tommy is, I think it's Tommy. Tommy, you're Tommy in the Ratty Rackinson.
Yeah, I'm Ratty Rackinson on Twitter.
Yeah. Definitely want to say hello to Sherry. Hi, it's great to see you, Sherry. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and always being so supportive of this channel. I see you every week now, and it's awesome. You're always here, and I appreciate you so much. And our friend Darius Munchausen's in the house. Darius Munchausen, great to see you.
Muchas.
And of course, we've got my friend YouTube Me. And he says, Chase, I'm an American, a Marine living in fascist Australia. My wife, who is Australian Aboriginal, says to anyone who says I'm strange, he's also a Marine. He carries freedom with him. So
Aye.
I get it.
That's cool. Thanks for your
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Anybody who enlisted before January 6th, thanks for your service.
exactly.
The Almighty
Uh,
says this must be a fashionable fight. It's drawn the finest people.
Yeah, it says, speaker for the dead says, "Hail, brother!"
Good to see you
Brightest
again,
day. Our buddy Freeze Peach Gaming is in the house. You know, and quick gaming story for you, Freeze Peach. You know, I know you're lurking while you're making dinner, but I wanted to tell this because I actually messaged Chase this. I was playing Ghost Recon Wildlands the other night, and I literally got on this mission where you end up like Ubisoft likes to do crossovers apparently with their own little universe, and you know, I'm sitting there playing the game, and you run into Sam Fisher of Splinter Cell fame. You have to do this mission, and mind you, Ghost Recon is not a game that's conducive to stealth gameplay. But you have to go through this entire mission without being detected
So
or
annoying.
anything. And I sat there and I would get to the end where you rendezvous with Sam Fisher so you can get into the next portion of the mission. And there's one enemy that shows up, always detects me, and it was simply maddening. And I still haven't beaten that mission yet. I keep continually dying or you know, getting detected, and it's just like so maddening, but somehow I keep coming back for more. It's like being like the ultimate masochist. But yeah.
Do you remember the original Max Payne video game?
Oh my god, dude, yes.
So you could autosave at any moment, and I made the mistake one time of autosaving like right before I got shot and I had no ammo. So every time I'd respawn, it was just like over and over again.
Oh
Elder
god,
Scrolls,
dude.
Fallout, a bunch of games like that.
Yeah. I'm glad they fixed that kind of shit these days.
Oh my god. Well, you know, I got a few years on you, dude. You want to know what was maddening? Go back and try to play the old friggin' original Friday the 13th game on the old Nintendo, the
NES.
8-bit Nintendo.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, I can't imagine.
that was crazy. But yeah, Blue-Eyed Roof Korean the Based. Great to see you, my friend. And I know that Roof Korean had said something like, you know, we were moving up with better and better guests each week. So I appreciate that. But no, you know, I wanted to kind of get into the first thing of the day. We were talking about big tech and Basco Scenario. Great to see you,
What's
my
up,
friend.
Gaskar?
What's up, Gaskar? Yeah, the thing is we've got this change at Twitter now because Jack apparently moved on to bigger and better things, stepped down, whatever. And this
I think he was
guy,
fired.
yeah, this guy that's taken his place is just absolutely. I mean, he wasted no time. He basically outlawed memes.
Well, not
Essentially.
only that, I mean, if you look at the way he worded it, the way he put it, any point, if you even share an article and it's got somebody's face on it, technically you're violating Twitter rules because now you've reposted something with somebody's image that you didn't get consent to post.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I feel like they've sat there and waited on that, and you know, say what you want about Jack because Jack has his own set of issues when it comes to, you know, looking back at his tenure on Twitter, because you know Jack's never done jack shit about the rampant CP floating around that platform. and it doesn't matter how many times you report those things. It seems like Twitter never did jack shit about it. That was what drove me crazy, and also, Jack was an uber lefty, but at least he still had different lines that he wouldn't cross. This guy that's coming in now is just a super extreme leftist. He already has said as much, and I know that they're trying to now downplay the guy's tweet and protect him and say, "Oh, well, he didn't mean that he dislikes white people." No, it's pretty clear to me, bro. You don't like.
Well, look what you went from. You went from Jack, who was an exhaust fume sucking, wood hugging hippie, to basically Mal Jr.
Yeah. I don't know, Chase. What's your thoughts on the leadership change with Twitter?
So I have a couple of thoughts, and some of them are maybe insightful and some of them are just speculative. My first thought was that it was bizarre that the resignation was effective immediately. Usually that kind of abrupt resignation implies that there was a force out. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I consider is the fact that they made this change so abruptly after Jack left indicates to me that Jack was probably pushing back against that type of shit generally, right? And I know that Jack and Twitter have made a lot of mistakes the last 6 years. Don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Twitter by any means. But if we look at what happened to Steve Jobs at Apple when he was fired, the board of these publicly traded companies are the ones that actually run the company, and they can push out a CEO. It's not like a dictatorship like a private company, right? If you're the CEO of a private company, you run the show. But if you're a publicly traded company, you have to listen to the board. They vote on issues. They can vote to fire you. They can vote to replace you. And so I'm not saying by any means that Jack was a champion for free speech. However, I don't think that he is entirely culpable for every mistake that Twitter has made the last few years. I just think that he was sort of a weak CEO in his ability to tactfully fight back against it. And, I hope that he moves on to bigger and better things. I'm not ready to say that I dislike Jack because I don't really know him, but I certainly dislike Twitter, and I think that it's going to get worse without him.
I think it's going to get worse without him, too. I kind of concur with you on that because of the fact that, even though Jack had his shortcomings, and again, the thing that sat in my craw for a long time was the fact that they didn't seem like they were proactive on the CP problem that was floating around Twitter. But even with that, relatively you were able to get what you wanted to get out in tweets, or people were able to freely exchange information. Yeah, I understand that a lot of people got shadow banned. Heck, Chase himself has been dealing with shadow ban. But, it was what it was under Jack, and now it seems like we're just heading, it's like 0 to, absolute fascism under this guy that's coming in. And it just, I don't.
What does anybody really know about him?
He was the head of Project Blue Sky, which was Twitter's project where they put together a team of developers and designers to create an AI system that automatically monitored the platform for misinformation and abuse. So before he became the CEO of Twitter, he was responsible for a lot of the automated protocols that flag content on the platform for what Twitter deems to be misinformation. So I imagine it included things like counteracting claims of election fraud, counteracting claims about vaccine side effects, counteracting
probably any
the Hunter Biden story, January 6th stuff. So his track record at Twitter was all about the content moderation. And so that's part of the reason why it's especially alarming to me that he's now CEO.
Well, do you suppose with him being in charge now, I've had discussion with a few other people where they talk about, the white hats that are basically in YouTube and in Twitter and everything. Do you think this guy is going to try to push those people out?
It's hard for me to say. I think that what these companies do, just from a corporate company culture strategy standpoint is if they want somebody out, they may not necessarily fire them, but they'll make it so uncomfortable and unhappy for them to be there that they'll leave. So I think if, a significant portion or any portion of the workforce at Twitter is unhappy with just the general direction the company is going and the company culture of it, that they'll find work somewhere else. That's probably what's going to happen over time. I don't anticipate any big tech company getting more moderate over the coming years. I think it's only going to get more and more radicalized left. I hate to use left and right because I like to say it's a two-dimensional way to look at a three-dimensional thing. Politics, I think, are three-dimensional. I think there's all sorts of different angles on this. A lot of people call me right-wing. I don't consider myself right-wing. But on the 2D paradigm, I land there, right? And so I think what's going to happen is, for lack of a better expression, I think that we're going to see increased leftism in big tech, especially with the coming elections.
I would agree with that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in my perspective, I don't think Jack's run that company for a long time. Because wasn't it several years ago that there was a large hedge fund that bought a pretty big controlling interest in the company? And ever since that date, I can't remember the name of the hedge fund, but ever since that date, it feels like the things that we're seeing that we're disagreeing with Twitter against have just gotten worse since that point. And I think at that point, Jack probably became just a figurehead. And as you alluded to before, maybe now he was trying to push back using what leverage he had, and they just pushed him out. I feel like that's probably a realistic explanation for what's happening.
Yeah, that's interesting. And didn't they fire Jack before?
Yes, yeah, he came back too. I can't
What
remember.
did they fire him for the first time? Do we know?
Question. I've only recently started using Twitter, so.
Yeah, no, I understand. So I'm looking up. It looks like ARK Investment Management held the most valuable stake in Twitter, which was worth $854 million at the end of Q2 this year. So this is an October 31st article that I'm looking at on Yahoo. I don't know anything about ARK Investment Management, but that might have something to do with his leaving the company since it was since the proximity is so close. This is just a few weeks ago this was reported.
Yeah, it seems like he came back in 2011. So it would be, that was a while ago, but yeah, I feel like those two events are probably related. The acquisition of that amount of leverage, and then everything that's happened since then, and now this re-release of Jack from his company.
Mm-hmm.
See, everything I see is just doing that virtue signal of another Indian American. They're playing the race and identity instead of hyping up his resume. It said he was inside the company as like a tech guy. But does that
helmed Project Blue Sky?
Yeah, he was a CTO, wasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, he's been there for a long time, and I don't have any problem with any race or background or ethnicity getting leadership at successful companies in the United States. I think the concern is that if we have these big tech platforms that are so influential on our political process and governing our freedom of speech, then it seems to me a national security risk that we can have people who aren't U.S. citizens involved in that, right? So imagine if China sent over a student to study tech, and over the course of 20 years, this person never became a U.S. citizen, or even did become a U.S. citizen, but was working for the CCP the whole time, and they worked their way to the top of some major company like Google. I mean, that would have major implications on our national security.
That would never happen.
Captain Trek, our buddy Captain Trek, says true left is closer to centrist than the far left. Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Most of the U.S. is closer to centrist than far left, far right. Whatever. The media paints it so far out of proportion it's not funny. Glinzer makes a comment, and hail Glinzer, great to see you, my friend. Twitter's credo: only certain truths are actually true. And he has the zipper mouth emoji. Oh my God, that is so true, Glinzer. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with a lot of those freaking NPCs that are sitting on Twitter. The ones that get highly offended and the ones that sit there and attack you in mobs because they almost never do it one-on-one. They get extremely upset about the truth. They hate it. They hate it with a passion. It's why they can't stand math. And it's why if you tell them, look, facts don't care about your feelings, they start screaming to the heavens. They can't stand that shit.
I think a bigger part of it. Oh, sorry, Drew.
I was just gonna say, hail to our favorite Navy veteran. Shellback is in the house. What's up,
What's up, Shelly?
Tim? Great to see you. All right. Yeah, but continue with your point. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
You just
yeah, I'm having some lag issues. What I was gonna say though is the bigger problem with Twitter and now YouTube is bot traffic. I don't know if you've heard of like the inversion, which is something that YouTube's actually concerned about because bot traffic is reaching a point where their algorithm will start recognizing bots as humans and humans as bots and flagging humans as bot traffic and taking action against them. I think that's the same thing we're seeing on Twitter. A lot of these incendiary accounts that are out there posting all this nonsense, I think there's a reason that they are so grammatically incorrect and can't use punctuation or spell correctly. And it's because they're bots and they're literally there to get a reaction from you.
Yep. China wins soon. You see.
Right.
so that's the other thing too, is that a large portion of that traffic is from overseas, not automated bots, but farms of that kind of thing. Like that's a famous trope in recent political drama, but it is actually a thing where they have people who will sit at a desk and they'll have rows and rows of phones and computers in front of them, and they will just troll whatever sphere of the internet they're assigned to all day and do that kind of thing. Or be it through harassment or phishing attacks or any other sort of thing. That's a very real threat. But what scares me...
Hail Crimson Mist, man. I like your profile picture now, Crimson. That's great. I love it. Dragon Master said, is there such a thing as a place where true left and true right meet? Yeah, I think so. I really think so, dude. Most people are just common sense people. And the average American is going to look at politics, if they're a free thinker, through a common sense type of lens. They're going to use logic and reason when it comes to political views. If they don't fall for the gaslighting, and that's another problem that's so prevalent now. You see the things on network news, and I know that you guys in the chat out there have seen it, and it doesn't matter what channel you go on, even if you go to the quote newer alternative channels like Newsmax, One American News, places like that, you still get it to a large degree because you've got, people that intentionally are gaslighting for ratings, and that's on both sides. The far left, I mean, the leftist or news organizations do it a lot more, but the quote right leaning ones do it as well. So it's so hard to watch any of this programming and see an honest conversation, like a panel conversation like we're having tonight, where we're just, actually talking about things from a common sense perspective. You don't see that.
Each exists to demonize the other. There was a really famous Conan O'Brien sketch where it showed a bunch of different news stations, whatever their political leanings, reading identical news stories with the same inflections and the same wording.
Oh yeah, well, Immortal. Yeah, you saw that clip, and I believe that was Salem.
His first name is D.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chase.
You're welcome.
First name Lee.
Your first name is real.
For real.
What up, real?
It's getting real in the house.
Word.
Oh man, our favorite comic artist, Vinnie Tartaglia, aka Vinnie Hart, is up in the house.
You're wrong, Drew. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah, it's AKA the Fouch. Oh man.
Shit. How you guys doing?
What's up, Vinny?
What's up, Vinny?
It's great to have you. Got a great guest tonight. Got my pal Chase Geiser in the house, and we've just been talking about the change in leadership at Twitter and what that.
Okay.
What
You
that
should get
means.
the logo out of Chase's face, man. Rearrange the.
Do I need to zoom my camera out? I can do that. Well, I'm just looking at Vinny's Twitter feed here. Man, your art is badass.
Oh, thank you, bro. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
I
Nice
just
meeting-
bought V for Vendetta, the graphic novel, and it just came in the mail yesterday.
Oh, very cool, man. I got a few projects out there right now.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Chase, he does great independent comics work because
Can
you
I
know, Vinny-
contract you, Vinny, to make a badass comic about me?
Yeah, right after when I'm done with my current one.
Okay, you got it.
Oh man.
But yeah, he actually worked for Todd McFarlane's toy line for a while too. Chase.
Lead designer.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool, Vinny.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a crazy time, but yeah, I'm all about doing stuff on your own now. The mainstream's garbage, so yeah, we've been creating our own stuff, and yeah, I got probably I'm on campaign number 6 right now.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been pumping out these books, but it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because we're not going to put any of that agenda-filled garbage in there. It's just going to be real stories, real characters for anyone to buy. So there you have it.
Drew, can I ask Vinny a little bit about the creative process? Do you mind?
No, go ahead, man.
Okay, I don't want to like I said earlier, I don't want to inadvertently hijack, but I talk.
No,
All this,
hey, dude, I was just stoked to have you on the show. So whatever direction I figured the show would go, I was like, man, let's go ham.
So I appreciate
you know
that.
what, Chase, anytime that you have a question for Vinny there, just feel free to just load them up and fire them away at him.
Okay, all right. Vinny, how many genders? No, I'm just kidding. So the first question I want to ask is, like obviously with comics traditionally, right? They were hand drawn and then hand colored. But what kind of software and tools are do creators use now to make the content?
Everyone's a little bit different, but I'm still doing stuff traditionally for at least to do like the pencils, pencils and inks. Lately, I've been doing digital inking over the work, so it's a little bit quicker and a little bit cleaner. So yeah, the 2 programs I use are Clip Studio and Photoshop. But I've been using Photoshop for like my whole career, pretty much. It's just only this past year I tried Clip Studio because people are telling me it's great, it's fantastic, you got to do it, and the line work is way smoother there. So I'm doing the line work there, and then going back to Photoshop to paint up everything.
Got it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. But yeah, everyone's a little bit different. I know there's people who they do it completely digital. They'll just have something like Clip Studio. They'll draw it, ink it, and color it all on that one program. But I like to have, traditional pages and stuff like that. It's just, I'm more old school, I guess. But
that's cool.
Yeah, either way, though, I think everyone has just like amazing stuff that they've been pumping out lately. And my style is very, very unique, I would say. Because I like to mix realism with kind of the comic book and cartoon style, somewhere like a blend in between.
Very cool.
Yeah, he doesn't do that shitty Cal Art style stuff that seemed to have somehow made its way into modern animation and drawing, because they're using it in books too, and it's just that's what I like about Vinny's stuff, because I have a couple of things. Because I have a couple of indie comics that I picked up that he actually did artwork on, and yeah, he's the real deal, Chase. He's awesome.
Thanks,
very
guys.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a hardcover book called Through the Woods. It's a ghost story, and I did it in a way where it's more like a European format. So it's hardcover. It's a little bit larger than a regular comic book. But it's because I listen to the fans, and that's what we have to do here. Since, the mainstream, they don't care. Like, all their books now, the material inside is horrible. The print quality is shit. And it's like, why are they going so low for fans? So over here, we're doing crowdfunding most of the time. So I'm making sure quality is always there. And that's the one thing I push and I strive for.
What do you think about the push to consume graphic content, whether it's comics or graphic novels, digitally? Do you think that's just a totally different experience? Is it frowned upon?
I don't think it's frowned upon. There's a good number of creators who do that. They'll have like those tiers available where it's just download it. But for me personally, I like getting the book in hand.
Yeah, me too.
But the thing is, too, it's like I know right now because of the lockdowns all over the place, prices are insane. Australia and New Zealand, forget about it. Like it is literally in the hundreds of dollars just to mail something over there now.
Well,
So-
I think one of the reasons that the digital stuff became so popular is because it's something that they didn't have to worry about getting messed up if it was getting mailed out to them. They didn't have to worry about going out to a store to pick it up. This is something that they're just plucking right off the internet once they pay for it. So I think that's the only reason that became big. But as far as like collectors are always looking to get physical media. Always. I mean, I know people that are still collecting VHS tapes. And apparently they're coming back in vogue because collecting that kind of stuff is the thing to do. I mean, it's a link to our past and what we enjoyed about it too. And I think that's another thing why people like to go out and collect books, comic books, old movies and everything like that. Is it's a link to who we are. It's a link to better times too. I mean, that's one of the things I always talk about.
Well, you know, Tommy, one of the things you touched on, you know, you got to remember, we've got literally there are certain streaming platforms that are putting, you know, for example, you turn on a John Wayne movie, you get a trigger warning that says warning, this motion picture reflects outdated attitudes and it may not be for everybody, essentially is what it tells you. Or, you know, they'll downright stealth censor certain scenes, pull out entire scenes. It's crazy.
You can't see up Jessica Rabbit's skirt anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
she was hot too.
Yeah,
they just did it recently with Seinfeld on Netflix.
Yeah,
what'd they do on Seinfeld?
They apparently took out a bunch of scenes that they said were too racy or something. Like, yeah, there were questionable scenes, like
the Indian statue episode.
Probably,
Right.
probably the stuff with the soup Nazi too. I'm imagining.
oh god, yeah. They said they were going to do that with the soup Nazi stuff.
Yeah, I heard they did that with a few different shows. It's Always Sunny in Philly, which is on a cable channel, and they want to censor that stuff too. And they're like, you know, editing out, deleting out not just scenes but episodes. It looks like.
I can't believe they're editing the soup Nazi when the show was written and performed by Jewish people. It's making fun of Nazis. It's not pro-Nazi. The soup Nazi is the antagonist in that episode.
Well, again, this is
no soup for you.
Yeah,
you know who's pro-Nazi.
This is the.
Don't expect logical consistency from these people. Just don't.
It's the absolute stupidity of wokeness, and that's why it's so much fun to make fun of it and rail on it, because you know it's just so stupid because it's not rooted in logic whatsoever.
Nope.
I think you're absolutely wrong, Drew. There's nothing wrong with the Nazis. My father was a Nazi, his father before him. It is all good. Don't worry about it. Listen to the man down there. Listen to Fauci. Get your 16, get your 17 vaxxers, get in the chopper. Don't worry about it. Screw your freedoms. Go ahead, give it to him, Fauci. Let them know.
You're right. Everyone else is wrong. Go get your boosters. Have them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're going to grow a tail. You might get a little bit of a heart attack. It's okay. I trust the science.
When did our Lord and Savior Fauci show up?
I'm with you always in spirit.
I am God's representative of science on Earth.
I am science. Did you get the memo?
There were several emails.
Oh God!
How soon before they change that in the dictionary and they just put Fauci's face right next to science?
Next to
Read
an
the
ass.
description says hashtag totally not a bioweapon. Oh God! This is
Actually, it is. Go to Bandai Video. We have all the scoop over there. We have all the information you need. Yeah, it's great. Fuck Fauci, by the way.
Oh man. Oh God, there was just a good comment that I saw. Dragon Master 360 says one of the things I noticed about comics today versus comics yesterday was that speeches / other such long dialogues today are on the whole page, while old speeches were in a single speech bubble. Yeah, that's another thing. That's a good observation there.
Better writers could make their point more concisely.
Yeah, and Crimson Mist points out another interesting thing, I recently watched an old Tom and Jerry cartoon, and it had a scene cut from network television. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Well,
Entire
How do you
Looney
cut
Tunes
Tom and
characters have been
Jerry?
deleted.
well, there was also talk about the black lady you used to see in all the old Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Yeah.
That she was being deleted because it was a racist representation.
Didn't they take Yosemite Sam's guns?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Going back on the Tom and Jerry thing for a second, I remember when they put them on, I think it was DVD the first time. They had Whoopi Goldberg came out, and she goes, a lot of people think it's controversial, her voice and all that, but you got to remember at the time, like that was accepted, that was okay. Like they had this little stipulation in the front of it, and now just a couple years later, oh, it's racist. No, we made up our minds now. Like the hypocrisy is ridiculous on all of them, but yet they're going to Epstein Island and they're drinking stuff that they shouldn't.
Yeah, and Vinny, that is a great segue, my friend. Look at you, top notch in the business right now. Look at you with the segue, because I wanted to get in and ask your guys' opinions about, it's awful funny we see these resignations. One of the bigwigs at Walmart stepped down. One of the bigwigs somewhere else stepped down. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's like these panic resignations going on, and then it seems like the flight lists are growing. They're finding more.
Oh yeah.
So this is crazy. But it's funny that the coverage of this trial, it was like a mum and hush hush. They won't allow it to be covered. They won't allow pictures to be taken. You're not.
Can I interject real quick though on that?
Yeah.
I looked this up today, and since 1946, you cannot have live coverage or photographs taken of a federal court case.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like this is not some isolate. I'm not saying that they're not trying to cover it up, because they very well could be, but the not filming or broadcasting of this is standard operating procedure for this type of trial.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to. Yeah, I'm glad that you provided clarification on that.
The judge.
Yeah.
You hear about the judge? What's his name?
Well, it's an Obama appointee for sure.
Yeah,
and I know that
Schumer is already nominated her for a higher position.
And the prosecutor, Vinny, it's funny. The prosecutor is Comey's kid.
Yeah,
his daughter.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder what's going to happen with this trial.
Well,
it's a joke,
world
man.
may never know.
Well, here, if you want my personal prediction, I think that she's going to. The people on her side are going to try to portray her as an unfortunate victim of circumstance. If she's put on the stand at all, she's going to be up there, give the whole tearful, I was groomed and I was blah, 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 and I didn't really have a hand in this, and she's going to play that card. And
she had two hands on it.
Yeah, and she's going to try to get out of it that way. And the bigger concern here is the plate lists in holding those people to account, which I don't think, sadly, is going to happen, because that is literally a who's who of the global elites.
Oh yeah,
on those lists, period. And it just boggles the mind when you think about some of the names on those lists.
So here's a weird tie into what we were talking about previously, with the new rule being in place of not being able to post images and video on Twitter without someone's consent. Now we have this case, and we're wondering why this rule was input so quickly. We have this case where a lot of high-profile people might be outed with photos or video or whatever, and I guarantee you're not going to hear anywhere near as much as you would if that rule weren't in place.
So what is public domain now?
That's
whatever
a good question.
Decide.
Wow, that is a good question.
And where does journalism enter into this? Right? Because we have to be able to debate these things in the public arena.
Right. And they worded the new policy so cleverly in that they make it sound like you can still publish content that is useful in the community forum or is of public figures or legitimate public interest. They make it sound like you're still going to be allowed to do those things. But the problem is it's up to whoever is reviewing a reported tweet to make that determination, right? And so this is one of the things that's really tricky about Twitter is you could be technically right in terms of following the terms of service with your content, but if they don't agree with you, even if you're right, it's moot. And so that's what's really going to be troublesome is we're going to really see their partisanship play out with this new policy, I think. So
Agrawal's algorithm's going to get some decent hits now, huh?
Yeah.
The greatest hits.
Well, I've seen a growing number of people talking about today, like going to Minds and Telegram. So, you know, a lot of people talking about that just today, like that they're hitting the alt text pretty hard because they're not sure what kind of ground Twitter's on at the moment.
Well, guys, you know what else is going to hit you real hard? The coof if you don't get your boosters. Listen, another fun fact. 90% of the people who went to Epstein Island, they were there at Obama's birthday party. We had a great time in the basement next to the Moloch statue.
Moloch. Good. Ginsburg fans in here. Moloch.
God. People need to know about that stuff.
That's how they were singing it.
Oh, my God. Brave and trusted soul Fauci. When will my variant get released? The Unicron variant.
Soon. When we want to kill 90% of the population, we'll have it leak.
Somebody needs to make an Omnichrome NFT where it's like the COVID virus, but it's just all chromed out.
Right. Did anyone notice, and I saw this probably the day after the variant was announced, even though it was discovered back in July, that they have listed under the symptoms of the new variant a lot of things that are suspiciously coinciding with the known side effects of a certain jab.
You're wrong.
That's just crazy talk.
And we should say speculative YouTube streams are not medical advice.
Yeah, we are not doctors.
That would be like saying people should go and look at the flu numbers and wonder why there's only a few hundred cases of flu reported this year. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Vaccines work. I love Joe Biden.
But you know what?
Chairman Mao.
There's commercials. There's commercials on my local radio, like when I'm in the car driving over here in Ohio. They're playing commercials on the radio, like, "Hey, it's easy." It's like this cringy commercial, like the old Rob Bass song, "It Takes Two," and they're like, pushing the get the flu shot and the COVID shot at the same time. It's like
I was at the airport. I was in the airport, not in. Yeah, in Dallas, and they were giving free vaccines at the airport. So while you're waiting for your flight, you can get the jab there. Have you ever heard of anything like that in your life?
Oh my
God, here's the one thing that I'm kind of wondering. Like, if I was the new face of the COVID instead of Dr. Fauci, maybe you should hire the Joker. We can give that vaccine to everybody. They love the stuff that I put in the water in Gotham. You should hire us. I think you're doing a wonderful job.
No, you're wrong. You need a friendly face that looks like a rat, okay? This is how we do it.
My favorite movie is Ratatouille.
The league actually happened in a city called Raccoon City, all right? It was in Wuhan. We love Wuhan. I make a lot of money with them.
They're very fine people on one side.
Oh my God!
That's so funny. I wish I could do it like you, man.
It rips up the
I'm gonna practice in the mirror.
I did this voice for an hour as I was reviewing that horrible Resident Evil movie. It was hilarious
because it's all about the viruses and the leaks from the labs, variants, zombies. Oh, everything that's gonna happen in 2022. I mean, get your boosters.
Oh my gosh.
No, but you made a good point. The logical leaps I've seen people make to try to justify their decision, not just around the jab, but around everything else that's been going on the last couple of years, have been astonishing. And to justify getting your 2 shots and however many boosters you have to get within the course of a year is justified as the same as getting 1 shot for the flu every year. It's like those 2 things are not equivalent at all.
Well, you know what the best part is, Zach, is when they sit there and they say, "Well, their shots and their boosters aren't working because you didn't get yours."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Drew's going to get banned.
2 weeks ago too. When they try to tell you that you're going to be the cause of a new variant because you didn't get the jab, as though a virus can't evolve around a vaccine just as well as it can in natural immunity. Like, that's a logical leap that absolutely blows my mind apart.
Well, I actually made a video about it. One of the first videos I made when I rebranded the channel was a short little video that covers the fact that they changed the definition of vaccinations to basically include the fact that they don't work. If there's like an addendum in the definition of vaccination now that basically says, that not always going to work.
Oh, this is a good meme, Immortal. This is a good meme.
They spelled death wrong. It begins with an F.
Yeah, he's my
ends
arch
with an
enemy.
ouchie.
Oh, I love this meme. I actually really do love this meme. This is great.
That's fantastic.
Did they get consent before they put the people up there?
Consent, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Did you see?
Zach is going to report it. I did not consent to this picture of me. Which one are you? All of them.
What's his name? Jim Cramer. That asswipe. What he did?
No,
He's sitting there mouthing off that it should be mandatory and the military should be giving it to us.
Yeah, I saw that. That's what the Second Amendment's for, boys.
Meanwhile, they're stating that 95% of the entire Marine Corps has the jab. And in the comments of those articles I've seen, like, look, I know like thousands of guys that they've got it on paper, but there's no reason to trust any of these numbers or any of this information we're being given. It's just gaslighting.
No at all.
Well, no, a lot. That's the problem. And again, we talked about that earlier. This whole culture of gaslighting, and a lot of it is because it's a form of Marxist socialist indoctrination. There is a big gaslighting problem, and it's done for various reasons. A lot of it's done for profit. A lot of it's done for, the fact of controlling how the populace thinks. But it's just, I hate the culture. I hate gaslighting culture, period.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it bleeds right into cancel culture as well. And it's just, God, it's such shit.
All they want to do is they want to cover up everything, man. Did you hear about the soccer players?
Oh yeah. My God.
Europe.
There is a record number, Vinny, of players, European football players that are dying on the pitch.
109 players.
Yeah.
Dead. Over 200, some kind of incident.
In the last 12 months, 109 professional soccer players have died on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Soccer players, referees.
Ted Lasso is going to freak out.
Yeah.
If only they'd have gotten their jabs sooner.
No. Well, this is the thing, because they said it's mandatory over there. I think that they're pushing the boosters as well, and that's why you have half of the English national team. They might not go to the World Cup because half the team doesn't want to take the vaccines, and then you have the other ones they're all over Twitter, and they're saying, "Are we just going to pretend this isn't happening?" There's footage, literally them falling down, having seizures, grabbing their chest. During the Euro Cup, there was a player who went down. He died on the pitch. They revived them with the paddles, and they try to cover all that shit up.
What was the name of that nurse that passed out on camera and was never heard from again?
Right?
Oh yeah,
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. We're gonna have to watch what we talk about, boys. We're gonna wind up with on that list. We're gonna wind up with mysteriously like 2 in the head.
Don't act like we're not already on it.
Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
just
Right.
recently reposted something the other day on Twitter, and it was like all these, like most of them were kids though, like they looked like they were teenagers and shit like that, just dropping and going into convulsions after they got their
Yeah,
shot.
I saw that. I know exactly what video you're talking about, Tommy. I saw that. I mean, it's ridiculous. But here's another thing. You know, we want to talk about modern media. And Chase, I want you to chime in on this because this has been bothering me, and it's the fact that the whole incident that happened at Waukesha with what the horrible tragedy that happened to those people is just memory hold. It is just memory hold, and that makes me so damn angry because you're memory holding this because the perpetrator was a protected class essentially.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add to that, Drew, than that I agree and that it's obvious and that it's fucked up.
I don't understand, and I hate this double standard of not holding people to account. It's the same thing with, how angry I get when I see these videos of people, like the whole smash and grab thing that's going on, people just running in stores, looting the shit out of them. Oh, we're not going to stop them. No, they could steal up to, $500 worth of stuff. We don't care. They're just, those crazy kids. It's like, come on. It just, God, it drives me up a wall.
Well, that little parade dance as well there. They're just passing it off like, oh, he was just a random crazy guy. No, he wasn't. They scrubbed his YouTube and his Twitter account as well because it was all BLM stuff.
Yep.
So look what I pulled up here. I just did a Google search of soccer player died suddenly, and then I went to news, and it's like Philly voice high school player dead suddenly 4 weeks ago. Football's this is different. Dozens of prominent athletes. PolitiFact says it's not true, but if you look at autopsy football player died from heart problem, not heat 3 weeks ago on ABC News. High school senior dies of sudden cardiac incident. Soccer game. Let's see. Barklage family speaks. This is LaSalle College high school senior's tragic death 4 weeks ago. 6 days ago, Belmare midfielder Ruler dies at 23. Philadelphia Fusion player who died suddenly mourned by fans and teammates 3 weeks ago. A man collapses on football pitch once every 4 days. This is probably getting worse. 2 weeks ago. Everything to know about the history. Okay, that's different. 1 death, 3 hospitalizations, 116 new cases reported. This is crazy. How is this not like all over mainstream news?
They're probably being reported as COVID cases.
Yeah.
Well, mainstream is all that's all bought and paid for.
That's
they
crazy.
don't want this information to come out. I mean, and they think people are actually like brain dead or something. Sorry, it's there. It's in the news. It's in the European news and stuff. Google's controlled as well. That's why a lot of people use like DuckDuckGo, stuff like that.
Chase, are you running like Brave for your browser?
No, it's Google, and if you click on the news tab, it's more accurate than if you look at just the general search results.
Yeah,
so
I usually run DuckDuckGo for mine.
Yeah. I use DuckDuckGo for a lot of controversial stuff too, but this worked on Google, so I just think it's interesting. I mean, all you have to do is do a Google search and click on the news tab, and you can see the articles regardless of whether or not it's being reported in mainstream media.
I mean, it's like, I mean, it's absolute crazy, and it goes back to the fact, like, this ties back to what we were talking about before. I think a lot of people live in this willful ignorance bubble, and they don't want to realize that, there really is sinister shit going on. I mean, there really is people out there that want to kill you, because you got to remember, folks, I'm telling you, this is not the racial divide they're trying to artificially create for you. This is a classism problem. And they are trying to exacerbate that and literally make it one ruling class versus the poor.
Mm-hmm.
They're widening that
500,000 or so poor that are allowed to remain.
They're widening that gap because eventually, who's to say that one day it won't get to the poor, the have-nots, that they can't function in society. It wouldn't it be better to euthanize them?
Rockefeller's been talking about that stuff for years.
Yeah, they become a drain on the economy. We need to get rid of them.
Useless
Exactly.
eaters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the thing. People are like, well, why do you talk about crazy conspiracy stuff like the Georgia Guidestones or you know, UN Agenda 2030? Because hello, go to the United Nations website, read UN Agenda 2030, and then you tell me if you have a free thinking brain and can read between lines and understand that entire plan, that is not very anti-human.
How about literally the books that were written by like Klaus Schwab, The Great Reset, all that
Thank
shit.
you.
They have it all written in there what their plans are. How about Kissinger? He said at one of those summits what their big plans are, what they're doing.
You know how many people don't even know the Georgia Guidestones exist? Don't even know that MK Ultra was a thing?
Who funded the Georgia Guidestones? Is that still secret?
Yeah, it's still anonymous.
They if I can promise you, if you try to pull the Wikipedia up on Georgia Guidestones, oh my God, that thing is so like limited, and you can tell it's been edited to not be in depth. It's so like sparse. It's not funny when you pull it up, and it's just again, yeah, they don't want people to consciously look things up like that. You know, it's crazy.
Of course they don't.
What's your favorite off the beaten trail kind of conspiracy theory, Chase?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I like that question. Immortal, nice.
I'm gonna need some time to think about that. Come back to me.
So, and I want to make a comment. I think a large part of it is not just being in a willful ignorance bubble, but just being in a location or a life circumstance where that information just doesn't reach you in a natural way. I went up to Maine, last weekend before. There are so many people out there that are just so disconnected from even this type of media because it's just not part of their daily life. They'll never get this information. And it's not through any fault of their own or any choice of their own. It just is. It's the way of life. Sometimes it just doesn't disseminate out that way.
Well, yeah, that is true too. I mean, some information is restricted a bit because of location issues, things like that. But a lot of it is filtered to a large degree and also censored. So, I mean, I understand where you're going with that, Zach, but I still think the greater amount is just because it's straight censored and filtered.
Yeah.
I would like to take a crack at the most off the beaten path conspiracy and say all the various implications of what's going on in Antarctica, just based off of the evidence that 168 countries that cannot stop trying to kill each other somehow all came together and signed a treaty around this one thing. And yearly, U.S. senators, religious leaders, and various political figures from around the world all make like trips to Antarctica.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about regarding Antarctica that blows my mind is how much of a national security threat it is that China could just nuke it and like flood all of our coasts. Like nobody's defending it from nukes, right? Is there like an anti-missile defense system on Antarctica? Because if you just nuke that, you don't have to hit any city in the United States, but like all the coastal cities would flood if you had like a mass melting, right?
I'm sure the Antarctic Treaty will cover that under MAD.
Right, but, unfortunately, China would fall prey to their own attack, though.
Yeah, but they don't give a shit because none of their leaders are elected, so they don't have any accountability. Like they didn't care about the Great Leap Forward when they killed more people than white supremacy from 1619 to 2019 combined, including the Holocaust. In 1958 to 1962, during the Great Leap Forward, more Chinese people starved because of Mao's policies than all of the deaths from cumulative white supremacy in 400 years.
See what happens when you turn in weapons?
Sounds like something the patriarchy would say.
I don't understand how communism isn't the patriarchy. It's all bros at the top over there, man.
Get
Yes.
ready for 2022, bitches.
You know, China is immune to leftist politics.
They're immune to everything, man.
Hey, Chase, I was kind of wondering, can you sign my copy of Mein Kampf?
Oh my God, no.
God,
No, I do not have a copy of that, by the way. That is a joke, people, just in case I'm offended.
yes. Yeah, there actually are, unbeknownst to people, yes, there actually still are jokes here.
I can believe that Fauci has a copy.
Yeah.
You mind your
First
business.
edition.
I got more than one copy.
Probably a signed first
Oh,
edition.
man.
I left
I'll be
a
honest.
copy in Wuhan. There's one in my office.
My father handed one down to me. It is a family heirloom that I treasure greatly. Ah, get out of here!
How old was Joe
Yeah.
Biden when he was
When Nazis divorce, like, who gets the family Mein Kampf?
Exactly.
The biggest conspiracy I believe in is Brie Larson really is Bigfoot. Discuss.
No,
This is true.
that makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah.
You've
I
seen
think
her
you
feet.
might be onto something there, Fauci.
I would say, to answer the question earlier about which conspiracy theory that I believe, it's a generic one. I don't believe a lot of the most common ones, but I do believe that the CIA killed John F. Kennedy.
I was actually going to try to reframe that because I didn't know
Sure.
if you were trying to avoid associating your name with anything,
No.
So Eisenhower gave that very famous military-industrial complex, and he
Yes.
met privately with Jack Kennedy before he took office, and then we know that Kennedy wanted to disband the CIA, and then he winds up shot. So
Yep.
discuss. What do you
It's
think?
all true.
Not
It's
only
all
that,
true.
but all the original reports from the coroner's office in Dallas all mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, and they delayed the release of classified information on the death for another 50 years or whatever. It's horseshit. They killed him because he was a threat.
George Bush Sr. He was there. He was head of the
He
operations.
sure
All right,
was.
Band that
Absolutely.
video. We have all the info.
Yeah,
Get your fusion vitamins.
people think the mob killed him because his brother's aggressive attitude toward prosecuting the mob. But the problem with that theory, in my opinion, is that the conspiracy theory, I believe, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that JFK's father made promises to the mob that his sons were meant to keep. And from my understanding of the mob, my wife's Italian. She's she's not like in the mob or connected or anything, but her whole family's always been interested in all the mafia movies and the mafia lore. They have their own code, their own morals. And if you wrong the mob, they don't kill your family. They kill you. Right. So it doesn't make sense to me, just from what I know about the mafia, that in order to punish someone for failing to keep a commitment, that they would attack their kids. Right. They would have killed JFK's dad. Right. Not JFK. What does that have to do with it? And I honestly, that's why I think it's a deep state thing, man.
Yeah, I can.
Well, there's
confirm.
also the fact that roughly, 3 weeks before he was killed, he had signed a bill that was going to basically give the World Bank back their gold and back our money in U.S. silver. And the first thing that Lyndon B.
reinstate the gold
Johnson did
standard.
was veto
Yes.
that bill.
Jesus Christ.
I've
Put the
seen
CIA
videos
back.
stating
I
that
didn't
that
know
was
that.
good before that happened, but that's another thing you'll never know because it's just there's so much hidden behind it. I've heard pros and not pros, but proof and counterproof.
Yeah,
I think if you were trying to go in that direction, I think the only argument you could make that the mob even got involved is probably because of Robert. Because of Robert.
Yeah.
Because Robert was going after them incredibly hard.
Yeah, but how did killing JFK solve that problem?
Yeah, it doesn't. I actually know because didn't John promote him? When he
I don't know. Was he Attorney General of the United States, or was he just Attorney General in Illinois?
I
thought he was
exactly.
I don't know. See, I'm not well versed enough in the conspiracy stuff to state, but I don't know. It just seems to me that the mob generally kills the person they have a problem with, not just the people around them.
Right. They make as little a splash as they can avoid or afford.
Yeah, and usually the body will be found in a barrel, in another city altogether. Sometimes,
You know,
allegedly.
I was gonna say, there's a there's so many good ones. It's funny. YouTube actually, and I don't know if I ever got to tell you this little story, Chase. YouTube actually pulled a stream of mine that I did where I had a gentleman on, and he and I just spent probably about 2.5 hours. Because we got into this thing that they had back in 2001, ironically enough, a few months before 9/11. It was called Operation Dark Winter. So we did a stream about that. And we also covered later what would come out of that, which is something called NSPD 51, or National Security Presidential Directive 51, which is still, by the way, in the government's toolbox. It allows, in the case of, the document states, in the case of any, quote, catastrophic event, and they keep it vague for a reason, that they can literally federalize anything in order to maintain continuity of government. And this is legitimate, folks. You can look this up. Look up NSPD 51. It is right there in black and white. And when you read it, it is very chilling, because it also allows for the appointment of a position called a, quote, national continuity coordinator, which sounds an awful lot like, guess what? An overlord.
Mhm.
To do whatever they feel that they need to do to maintain the continuity of government at that point. And, it's no sooner did I do that stream, it stayed up for a while. And then YouTube sent me a notification that it was pulled because of, quote, what? Misinformation. Although this stuff actually happened.
Yep. It doesn't matter if you're right. They have to agree with you. That's what's fucked up about the censorship stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I mean, I was just, I couldn't believe that they actually pulled real information off the platform and labeled it misinformation, and this is verifiable facts.
Oh, Chase, just to get back to that question real quick.
Yes, I love you.
When JFK got into office in 1960, he did promote Robert Kennedy to U.S. Attorney General.
Okay, well, that could explain it.
Apparently, he was the youngest Attorney General at the age of 36. I had to look it up myself because I couldn't remember. I thought he was, but I wasn't sure. So
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And pardon my ignorance on that. I'm not as well versed as I should be. But despite the fact that that's true, it still feels like a stretch to me that it was the mob. And here's the thing here's my opinion, my theory about the deep state, especially early on, like in the 60s, is that most of those people involved, and when I say the deep state, I generally mean the intelligence community, right? Like the CIA specifically, right? I think that most of the people operating in that organization at lower levels, mid levels, and even top tier levels then genuinely believed that it was their duty to do what was best for the country and the national security of the United States. And I believe that they had an incredibly Machiavellian approach to that. The end justifies the means. And I would not put it past them. I think it's reasonable to consider that they may have legitimately thought it was imperative for the national security of the United States to assassinate the president of the United States in order to maintain the existence of their organization, their organizations, and their programs. Because if they, are involved, they've got spies everywhere, their intelligence, they're doing all this. It's the Cold War's ramping up. There's like this huge push against communism, right? We're worried about communism spreading everywhere. Vietnam's about ready to start, and they could have legitimately believed that if their organization was shut down by a White House administration, that it would be the end of America. And I'm not saying it's right. I don't think it's right. I think it's really fucked up. But I think that they could have done it without malicious intent. They could have thought this is what we need to do for our country. And that's what's scary about it.
Not only that, but there was a lot of papers floating around that were actually saying that JFK was in bed with the communists. I have that book that's written by the Dallas police chief. And he's got all kinds of flyers and everything else in that book saying that exact same thing. There was a lot of people that truly did believe that.
Yeah.
Well, and don't forget. Yeah. Sorry. Vinny, go ahead.
He had that. He had that big speech where he was going to expose these hidden.
We as a society are opposed to secret societies, right?
Yes.
That was the CIA. I think he was talking about.
Yes,
and before his term in office is done,
he wanted to change the banking system as well. And any president who they even attempt to do it, they take them out. In history, that's what it's been. Same thing happened to Lincoln. Lincoln wanted to stop it.
Can you imagine the conversation though? Like, all right, so when should we whack Kennedy? Should we do it before or after the moon? Oh, after the moon landing for sure. We're gonna wait till after we land on the moon and then we're gonna whack him.
Yes, that's Studio B.
Yeah.
There's no other way to run the Bilderberg meetings.
Your theory brings to light an important point that I like to believe at some point. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters what people believe is the truth, because if you get enough people to believe it, it gives whatever that thing is power.
Yes. And I was thinking about this earlier today, because so many people, especially like in the libertarian movement, that they're so focused on winning the argument and being right. And the truth does matter, but it has no bearing on whether or not you will come to power. You can lie to get power, even if the truth is not on your side, you can still get the power. But once you have the power, you have to lead based on what is true, right? And I'm not saying it's right to lie or to get power on a bad narrative, but that's where the truth is important in the process. You don't get power by being correct. But good leaders, history shows, whether or not you believe history, that the best leaders lead based on what is actually true, not on the lies.
Well, we know, we were talking about the earlier about the way that the corporate media is and why it is, and you can directly tie the CIA. This is verifiable information. Again, the CIA had a program where they had agents working within the major media organizations. Okay, this is the problem. Why media is so carefully crafted and filtered is because that operation never ended, folks. I hope you understand that, and that is why a lot of news is presented the way it is. Sure, it's also for profit and it's also for ratings, but it's also presented that way very carefully to control public thought. And that's why, for example, we talk about the racism social construct, in the fact that it's the modern quote anti-racist movement, why it's such bullshit, because they carefully use incidents to gaslight and build that particular narrative. This is exactly why Waukesha was downplayed after it was found out that the perpetrator was, happened to be a black guy with an extensive.
Oh, I thought you were going to say an SUV.
Yeah. Yeah. But the guy had an extensive criminal record, and he just happened to be a black man. And guess what? Does it fit the narrative? Does it fit the framework of anti-racism? We can't run with this at all.
Let us not forget the overwhelming fact that the intelligence community, the Hillary Clinton campaign, and the Russians colluded to spy on the Trump campaign illegally and make up the narrative that he was colluding with Russia. Mm-hmm. And there's no accountability. So, I mean, to me, that's just as bad as, the CIA assassinated a president. Like, that's just as fucked up. Nobody died, thank God. But like, that is the same level of corruption. The audacity that they have to do this is just, it's so terrible. Frankly, I think the intelligence community is the unchecked fourth branch of government. And it's unprecedented. And I don't know what can be done about it. Honestly, it could be too late. I'm an optimistic person. I think there's always hope, and we should fight like, it's still possible to win, even if there's only 30 seconds left and we're down by 10. But it's really, really scary, man.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
It's seriously.
Before I get to Small Time Republic's comment here, just wanted to thank Tommy for being a part of the panel this evening. You guys know Tommy, you love Tommy. Check out his channel, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. He does stuff from time to time as well with Vinny. I know they talk about the retro toys and retro franchises. So check out Tommy's content and subscribe to his channel. Brightest Day dropped the link in the chat, so show Tommy some love. And we thank him, as always, for being a contributor and a member of the panel every week. All right. Small Time says, if you say you are an anti-racist, you might be a racist. In Jeff Foxworthy voice, yes, absolutely. And that's the hypocrisy of their argument. It's just so funny because oftentimes when they're trying to make an argument, they come up and show their true colors as being the real racists when they're trying to demonize other people for being racist. It's
well said on that, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, the whole thing that I don't even understand why we recognize race as a real thing. Like, has it actually been established that race even exists? I don't like to use the term social construct because it's been hijacked by the left. Mm-hmm. But to me, it seems like race is a social construct. And even if you find genetic patterns or similarities among races, there are always individual anomalies within any group. So it's useless to try to define who a person is based on their alleged race.
Yeah, it's a controlling thing. That's what they want, man. Which one said it? Soros. That's it. Yeah, he goes. I forgot what year it was. Maybe 2016.
I'm gonna interject. I'm so glad you said that, because one of the first things I love to ask in any conversation about race is, how do you categorically define race? Categorically, and you'll never get an answer for it. You'll get a deflecting answer like, "Oh, he means nationality, he means this or that." Like, then you've got to go into it, and you can never get a straight answer out of people, and it just shuts them down.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between a wolf and a hound?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. And Soros said it specifically that he was going to be funding black hate groups against white people because it's easy to manipulate them. This is a quote from this guy. Because they want to continue having that. If we're all fighting amongst one another, they can do whatever the hell they want. And that's the deciding factor with all these people, right? The extreme left, what is it? It's everyone else is racist. You don't believe what we're doing and blah, blah, blah. It's all been proven that it's also paid for by him.
Vinny, think about,
look at California, that's being destroyed.
Think about
it's
how
appointed and paid for by him.
Think about how inflamed the discussion has become. And this is in the larger picture, when politics switched over from traditional politics to identity-based politics, it absolutely brought all of this negative shit to the forefront and gave them the opportunity of a lifetime to control every single ideological thought process that they wanted to. Because if you think about it, look at what they've done with gender and sexuality, where they've now conflated the two. You can't even now say the word gender without being demonized, but it's like
you bigot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the people, and I'm not afraid to say it, I always say it, the people that are the extremists on that end in the community, and it's mostly how, I follow a gentleman on Twitter, Chance Coleman. I've talked to him many times, about stuff like this. And he he has a normal logic perspective. Sure, he's a gay man. People I know here locally, one of my best friends, her name's Jessica. She's She is a happily married lesbian, but she's a 100%, an America first mentality person, because she doesn't like the way that, their community was hijacked, and it's been misused, it's been exploited, and essentially it's been taken over by, what I like to call the trans mafia. And I will always call them the trans mafia because they act like a mafia. They bully people into submission. They tell you, immediately you're a bigot. These are the same people that go after and try to character assassinate. They're the tactics used, and it's straight out of the Marxist communist playbook. Again, you so you can see the exact tactics that are being used here, and that's what drives me up a wall. And I feel bad for the traditionally gay people that want to just be a normal American citizen. They're not trying to sit out there and whine and cry and say, why me, and I need this representation and that representation. They don't care about that. They care about raising kids, paying their taxes, being with their partner, and having a normal life.
Yep. Well, and the funny thing is, man, I feel like the Democratic Party fought, and rightfully so, for so long for gay people to get legally married, that when they solved that problem, it was like, oh shit, now what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, and that's why it's gotten real wonky, and like they just keep trying to find and make new marginalized groups in order to perpetuate the exploitation, and they love creating these problems and offering the solution. Yes, and they they offer the solution to the problems they create. And so I don't know. It's like when Biden shuts down the Keystone Pipeline and then oil prices go through the roof, and then he's like, all right, now I'm going to do an investigation into whether or not the oil companies are price fixing, you're rigging the prices, right? And it's just like they're creating a solution. The problem, you created the problem, you asshole. Like just undo what you did. Like don't. And it's just it's cyclical, and it's not just I notice it on the left more because I'm biased. I know that I'm biased, but it's the entire political class that does this. It's right wing, it's left wing. It's not Republican constituents, it's not Democratic constituents, but it is Republican and Democratic leaders. And so really, what the real conflict in America today, in my opinion, is the American class versus the political class. It's not right versus left. It's not black versus white. It's not rich versus poor. The real conflict is the American class versus the political class.
Well, and Chase, and I've Jack Kosovics talked about this before, where he said, that we just need a populist wave. We need populist energy. In the end, it doesn't matter which party it comes from. We need candidates that are, the average guy like me, like you, like the lady down the street with like 2 kids that it goes to parent teacher conferences at her school and cares about what her kids are learning. We need people like that, running for the local and state offices, and people, that understand the issues that an everyday American goes through. And these career politicians, especially, whether you call them swamp dwellers, whatever you call them, they're so out of touch with the average American. They have no idea, because these people live in gated communities. They live in these lavish homes. They don't care. They don't step out of that bubble. They've never had to have a month where they scrape by in the last couple of weeks of the month. Oh, I'm living off ramen. They don't understand that.
No, they never will, because they don't care. Their goal is to stop all of us, to thin the herd. They've been on the record saying this multiple times. These stupid meetings that they have, these David
Rockefeller,
meetings, all that shit. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to the politicians, it's not their idea even. I would suggest that they're just middle management at this point. They make officially make 350 grand a year or something trying to tell billionaires how they're going to act.
Mm-hmm.
But Nancy Pelosi can buy a $30 million house in Florida.
Yeah.
So I agree that we need these kind of candidates, but I think we need more. I think we need and this is not even just respective to elections, but we saw it with the Rittenhouse trial. You need a level of support that is so unquestionably majority that it can't be undone through unscrupulous means. Like, your candidate has to have such a commanding lead that there's no way they could fudge the numbers to look like it's anything other than a complete landslide. I think that's where we're going to end up going.
Zach, I want to point out a couple of great comments here, because Red Shirt had one, and then Godzillionaire had one. I'll get to Red Shirts first. He said, just know the Red Shirt said, Professor Angelo Cadavia wrote an essay about the ruling class versus what he called the country class, the U.S. Average U.S. citizen, in 2002, almost 20 years ago.
There you go.
So,
political class versus American class.
Mm-hmm.
I inadvertently plagiarized.
Yeah. And Godzillionaire said, our founding fathers didn't put in term limits because back then they couldn't fathom people living much past 50, much less being in government for 50 years. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And listen,
Apparently they couldn't figure out automatic weapons either, even though those existed.
Term limits is not
those dumbasses.
I don't think term limits is the catch-all solution. It's a help, but in even term limits can be exploited.
Well,
and even those can backfire.
Well, here's the thing. My opinion on term limits has gone back and forth over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a really good idea, but ultimately, if the people are dumb enough to keep reelecting these leaders every term, then it's sort of on them. But I think the ultimate problem is even more there's a greater denominator than the term limits issue. I think, in my opinion, the problem is that being a politician is incredibly lucrative, right? So I just looked this up. Senators and House of Representative people at the federal level make their salary is $174,000 a year, right? I mean, it's a strong six-figure salary, but this is not a salary that justifies, Joe Biden having 5 houses, for example, right? And the point that I'm trying to make is the way these politicians make their money is because they invest in individual stocks, and then they write policy and they pass laws that ensure that their stock portfolio is going to grow. So it's their investing behavior that allows them to be incredibly wealthy from the power that they have, right? So if you know that a vaccine mandate is going to come out for Pfizer in 30 days, you can dump all your money into Pfizer now. And then when it blows up, your portfolio is going to explode and you're going to be personally rich. And then you can buy 5 houses, even though your salary is only $174,000 a year. So in my opinion, if we somehow regulated the investment behavior, for one example of this would be, hey, if you're sitting in the Senate or the House, you can't purchase and sell individual stocks during your term. If we regulated that or made a rule like that or similar or had the same effect as that, term limits wouldn't matter. People would pop in, they do it for a few years, maybe a couple of terms, or they're already independently wealthy, so you don't have to do it. But then you mitigate all of this corruption from the policies that are happening. And ultimately, I think that's why we have politicians that, like we said earlier, don't represent average working people and are out of touch. Yes. The reason is because they don't actually represent those people. They represent their portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Dude, the amount of insider trading and illegal pump and dumps that those people have done.
Well, it's not even illegal.
Astronomical.
If they're protected, they can't get busted for insider trading. That's what's even more fucked up about it.
Exactly.
Martha Stewart's sitting in the can. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's buying houses with his son on the board of Burisma.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's going to be my point, is that the way around that would just be you have some third party, namely a family member,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, a rat hole. Yeah.
And I feel like nepotism is the counter argument to term limits. Until you address nepotism in however way you would do that, that's going to be their workaround. Like the corrupt are always going to find a way to be corrupt.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Rabbit Slug Ouchies. And by the way, hail Rabbit, great that you're here with us tonight. Rabbit says Peeps did elect AOC, so I think they're just too derp to be taught anything. My favorite pet name for AOC, because she tried to be cool and be on Twitch and everything. I call her Representative Twitch Thought, and that's exactly what she is.
She's a Twitch thought.
Oh, she is a Twitch Thought, bro. Total that mentality. But yeah, that's the thing, and this is why I love our chat, because people are right on this. Small Time Republic says, look at guys like Senator Richard Burr from North Carolina who openly committed insider trading and nothing has happened to him. Exactly. And that the system's just so fucked up. It really is.
But the thing is, everybody knows what's going on. Did you guys see the Kevin McCarthy speech?
I did not catch that, Vinny.
Which one are you talking about?
8.5 hours. He went.
Wow.
Because he was trying to stop the bill. And
the filibuster?
Yeah, he covered it all. And he goes, I know you guys are upset too because you got that fundraiser or something in Puerto Rico. But if you stay, don't worry. I'll pay for your flights. I'll pay for your flights personally. And he just went over everything. Pelosi was ignoring him the whole time. And he kept addressing her too, going, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you paying attention? Are you there?"
Vinny, how awesome would it be if, like, when somebody like McCarthy does a filibuster like that and says all this badass shit for 8.5 hours, they had like a Bluetooth speaker playing just Hans Zimmer into the microphone too. So that's what I would do,
dude. I saw some of it, man. It was pretty epic. He was just slapping him in the face, and he talked about all of it, man. He said, how come no one's saying anything about, again, what happened in Russia? This is all nonsense. Why we stopped the pipelines? He covered everything and then slapped them all in the mouth with it. Like, he's just sitting there, just swinging his big dick at them.
Yeah, you're right. And that's awesome. But the problem is no one watched and no one cares.
Well, and that's the thing, because Pelosi right away, as soon as he was done, like, she passes it. Oh, yeah, I didn't listen. And she goes, I didn't listen to a word he said.
Oh my God, this is a great comment. Rabbit, you're on fire right now. I love it. Rabbit says the garbage disposal goes whir. I love it.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God, this is such a great conversation. See, I knew that out of all the shows that we've done since we started Rogue Resistance, we started this brand new show here 6 weeks ago. We kicked it off. We had a great guest in J.R. Majeski, and now, man, Chase has to be like the most epic fucking guest that we've had.
That's nice.
I knew this conversation was going to be badass.
JR's a badass. Majewski, I love that guy.
He is. Oh,
JR Majestic.
Yeah, he is. Man.
He gave me an honest answer to a hard question, so he earned my respect.
Yeah, that guy has big dick energy all over the place.
Yeah, he's not fucking around.
Yeah, but no, having you on, bro, I knew it was going to be good. I knew you were going to get along with the panelists. So
yeah, I love you guys.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So this was awesome. And I know the chat's loving it because, it's like I said, when we do the show on Tuesdays, I just go balls deep. I do not even care. And if YouTube comes after me, that's fine. And I'll go through their little appeals process. But, when it comes, I have that old attitude, like, Stone Cold Steve Austin against authority. I just flip the double birds to YouTube. I don't care.
Drew, it's impossible that you've gone balls deep. Nobody's dead.
This is true.
Hashtag beware the Drew.
Yeah.
2 behind the head. They committed suicide.
Oh, man.
Two balls
by COVID.
Oh man, but no, I absolutely love this conversation, man.
Me too.
We're closing in on I know it's closing in on 8:40 Eastern time. Chase, how much longer do you have actually?
I'm here for you.
Okay, well I'll go another 20 minutes. We'll go to the top of the hour and then I'll close out at that point. But yeah, you folks are gonna get a little bit of a bonus, so we'll go about another 20 minutes. And I just
before you do though, I gotta get to another stream.
Okay, no problem, baby. But
Oh,
yeah, no,
Vinny, so cool.
yeah, dude, it was a blast. I wish I could have came a little bit earlier over here, but I have just other things I had to take care of. But dude, yeah, it was awesome. It always is. Looking forward to next week as well. Chase, it was great meeting you, man.
My pleasure.
Dude, everybody, have a great night. Chat, nothing but love, and stay away from the Fouch. He's a scumbag.
Vinny, let him know. Let him know about your channel. Let him know where you can be found.
Yeah, you can find me at Vinnie Art. I'm over on YouTube, Twitter, all the same handle, Instagram, all that stuff. I have 2 active campaigns right now where if you order the books, they'll arrive immediately, or they'll be in the mail immediately, either same day or next day. That's City of Venus with the 2 art books and Through the Woods. But I also have Shadow of the Kraken. So if you guys are into pirates, that's what the logo is here.
Dude, you got to show Chase Shadow of the Kraken before you go.
Oh, yeah. Give me a second. I'll pull it up.
Dude, yeah.
It just makes me think of Sea of Thieves whenever I hear the word Kraken.
Yeah, you got to see this, Chase. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. The art that he has in this Shadow of the Kraken that he's working on. Look at this.
Here we go. Yeah, this is campaign number 6. I'm writing it, drawing it, inking it, coloring, doing the letters, all of it.
Wow, dude.
So yeah,
I'm gonna get full body tats of all your work.
Dude, that'd be awesome, man. But yeah, everything pretty much, it looks like cover work, interiors, it's all like that. I try to make sure it is the highest standard possible that I could produce for people. And it's more of like a traditional kind of pirate story. And I set it in the real world, 1700s. There's slavery in there. There's treasure. There's hot women. There's ship battles. Everything you need out of a great pirate story.
And he makes great busty chicks. Look at that.
Yes, I do.
Look at that.
I'm actually trying to get him to let me play the live version adaptation.
Yeah. I want to be in that movie, please.
That's really cool, man.
Thank you, man. Dude. Yeah, and again,
it's almost as good as Hunter Biden's art.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Give me millions and plenty of coke. Let's make it happen.
Which goes for more than Andy Warhol originals, by the way.
Holy shit. Well, yeah, they got to clean their money somehow, right?
Launder that money.
With or without inflation?
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, but this is like his work, Chase. I mean, like I told you, he's awesome at this.
Yeah, you're not fucking around. I like it.
Dude, thanks, guys. But yeah, and it does have a supernatural twist in this. And that's where you get more of the comic book elements to it. We got a great villain who's pursuing the main characters. And again, the main character in the book, you'll follow his journey from being part of the Royal Navy, why he defects, he becomes a pirate, the treasure and specific treasure map that he does find, which was that skull that I showed you earlier up there. That thing has multiple maps kind of carved into it, and it's coded. So there's extra mystery and stuff in this story. There's other stuff happening. But yeah, it's going to be one hell of a tale. This thing's going to be about 52 pages. I am literally drawing. I'm drawing and inking the last handful of pages, and then I have to color like the last act of the book, basically. So this will be ready in first quarter of 2022. So yeah, guys, if you want it, please support. Do whatever you can. Share, retweet, all that great stuff. On the bottom of this campaign is also links to my to the other books, which is City of Venus.
Do you sell signed copies?
Everything's signed.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah! I'm gonna buy one. Don't let me forget, Drew.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
You go. And down here, you just click on these, and it'll take you to the other campaigns. Which again, if you want a fantastic, beautiful hardcover book, Through the Woods, this story's killer. My brother, he is the co-creator and writer of this, and yeah, this thing is fantastic. Everyone who's gotten it, they said it's one of their favorite books, if not their favorite book out of crowdfunding. And yeah, this is a really killer, kick-ass ghost story set in upstate New York. So,
dude,
yeah.
the lumberjack kind of, in a way, dude, he kind of reminds me of Solomon Grundy. In a weird way.
Look at that ass. Scroll up. This is a Tomb Raider ass right there.
Oh yeah, it is.
Definitely. She's my banner as well. Usually when on my channel, I get my camera on. Usually I don't have cameras on when I'm on other people's because I'm always working and it lags down the computer. So
But yeah, you'll see her if anybody follows me over on YouTube. Yeah, so Fridays and Sundays usually when I do my streams. And yeah, you guys want excellent work? It's here. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. Again, City of Venus for the really hot chicks that's in a kind of futuristic post-apocalyptic world. That's City of Venus right here. And
Do you do your own inks, Vin?
I do it all.
Ah,
Yeah.
Nice.
This project is all me.
Very
The
nice.
pirate one's all me. The only help I got so far was writing. My brother wrote, or he co-created the ghost story Through the Woods. But other than that, everything else is me on these projects. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but well worth it. But thank you guys. It's been a blast. I hope everyone has a fantastic night. Stay healthy. Stay safe. I'm out of here, guys. Later.
All right.
See you,
Vinny.
Bye.
Vinny, she.
Yeah. Vinny is Vinny's awesome. But he knows his stuff, and that's why when Vinny comes on, it's a nice change up for him to come on because he's able to talk about what's going on in the world, and that's what I think. It's a change up for these guys from the content they do, because a lot of the gentlemen I do the panel with, usually, on their individual channels, we're mostly in that realm of talking culture war and about entertainment and things like that. But when you bring it back into focus and you're able to do a show like this and actually get into like the real world aspects of what's controlling all of that, and that's what's important to me. That's why I love doing this Tuesday program and having these guys be a part of it, because we just got a good chemistry on the panel. And like I said, dude, you just added to that.
I appreciate it, man. I would love to hang out with you guys. We should throw a party on January 6th or something and get together.
So, Chase, do you have political aspirations yourself, or are you just providing a roadmap?
So, one of my favorite moments in the new Dune movie, which I adored, I watched it over 5 times, was when the Duke is speaking to his son, Paul, and he says, "Great men don't seek to lead. They are called to it, and they answer." So I will not ever pursue politics. I don't want to do it. But if an overwhelming number of people ask me to do it, then I would consider it. And I know that sounds like a bullshit, politically correct, safe answer. Oh, he's so humble, yada, yada, yada. But I really fucking mean it. I'm technically going to run for State House of Representatives here in Texas this cycle. But I'm not actually running. I'm just doing it so I can get on the ballot so I can get verified on Twitter. That's the only reason. I swear to God. It's
not a bad strategy.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I'm doing it. I'm not gonna even run a race at all. The guy I'm running against is the district I'm in is way left because I live in Austin, Texas. So it's not like a real thing. But so technically, you'll see you might see me on the ballot or whatever, or hear that I'm running in some article or something. But I'm not genuinely interested in being a politician.
Yeah, one of our friends in the chat, Moira Kitty, she's actually trying to do that process in Oklahoma and be a congressional candidate there. So
hell yeah, Moira, go get him.
Yeah.
What you're saying is we shouldn't run a grassroots campaign to try to get you a surprisingly high number of votes?
Yeah. I'll donate $5.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm not even going to ask for donations.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
I think I'm going to have my campaign website. I was thinking about different things I could do. Have it, if you go to my website, just say I don't want your fucking money. That's it.
And then post a PayPal link to
just white background, block letters, all caps. I don't want your fucking money.
With the link to St. Jude or something.
Right.
Right.
Oh my God. Hail, rough girl. Good to see you. I see you in the chat, babe. Yeah, great to see you. And I know that Janet says Too bad, Chase. We need people with your passion. Janet's a big fan.
Hey, I'm going to fight the fight, regardless of whether I'm actually in office. There's a difference between formal authority and informal authority, right? Like elected officials, they're formal authority figures, but Martin Luther King, informal authority figure. He just led, right?
Yeah.
And I would much rather be an informal authority than a formal authority. I think Joe Rogan has more power than any politician in office right now, really.
Thank you.
And so I'd rather just have conversations that are influential than be someone who can, hammer the gavel on policy with political power.
I wouldn't want to do that either, bro. Because listen, I don't want to go through all the cutthroat bullshit. Because why do I want to sit there and have assholes out there I don't even know trying to character assassinate me or go through, scour my Twitter for some, fucked up tweet I made like 10 years ago, or sit there and dig through my public record or go through my past and say, oh, look, he dated this chick, but this is questionable. I don't need that shit.
It's hard to be a nail in the world of hammers.
Yeah, I don't want that shit. I want to sit there and the place I'm going to be most effective is fighting the friggin' information war, and not to like infringe on Alex Jones's phrase there, but it is a war of information, and I think we're far more effective in general in independent media doing what we're doing, because it's more in just to speak to what Chase said, we're going to be 10 times more influential doing it here than doing it there.
Yeah, the only challenge with the independent media angle is that it's very hard to reach people who don't already agree. And that's one of the things that Joe Rogan's been very good at, is that he's been, up until recently, and even still recently, he's very politically ambiguous. Like he says a lot of right-wing stuff, and then he inadvertently endorses Bernie Sanders. But he has all sorts of different guests on with different views and different expertise. And, that I think that was part of what was so cool about him, is that he was able to reach an audience of people from all sorts of different political persuasions over these past 10 years. I don't know if that's going to be true moving forward, as everything's been hyper polarized. But and one of the things I've struggled with is it's been very hard for me to get left people to agree to come on my podcast. And I've reached out to people I disagree with in a very friendly and polite way, and I've really tried to get different guests on, because I know if I have different guests, then I have a more expansive audience, not in terms of volume, but in terms of diverse thought. And that's been really hard. It's just so polarized. So, if it gets to the point where it's just right-wing guests and only a right-wing audience, then fine. But I'd really like to be in a position where I could have genuine conversations with people who didisagree.
Dude, I could send you a lot of articles that I've written in the past for Bounding Into Comics, the publication that I write for, Chase. And it's funny because, and if my editor-in-chief, John Trent, were here, he'd say the same thing. Like, the first thing that pops up when you put Bounding Into Comics in, like, Google, for example, is Bounding Into Comics alt-right. Is people like to paint us as being alt-right because we call out, the bullshit in the entertainment industry, and we bag on wokeness all the time, and they hate that, and it's just so we're alt-right, and it's just so stupidly categorized and polarized, and that's what sucks. I try to have conversations with people I disagree with, and you can't even sit there and have a dialogue about, like you said, them coming on your program. I've tried to get some left-leaning people to come on this program, and they're like, "Oh no, you sound like an alt-righter. You sound like a Trumper. You're a MAGA person, aren't you?" I mean, it's like the fucking assumptions these people make are ridiculous. It's like, God.
Well, what we're going to do except win.
That's right. That's right, my brother. Well, folks, we're at 8:51, and I know that we said we were going to go 20 minutes. Well, we're going to hit the outros, I think, let everybody tell you where to find them. And we're going to wind down, but I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. I appreciate it. We had a hell of a show. Man, we didn't even get to any articles or anything. I mean, we had just a great conversation. We riffed topics like mad, and we bounced over a lot of different stuff, but man, it was a great organic convo, and that is what this show is about. So I am very, very happy about how all of this turned out, and thank you so much, folks, because you in the chat, you the audience, are what drives this, and I can't underscore your importance and the importance of your support enough, because you folks are the reason that we do this. So all right, let's go over and we'll go around the panel. I'll start off with Cosmic Fusion and let him talk about what he's got going on and where you can find him.
You can find me at youtube.com/thecosmicfusion, where you will find a channel under rebranding. And I'm slowly rebuilding my back catalog of content. So check back every few days. There's bound to be something new. All kinds of stuff coming that way.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate you having me on.
And hopefully you can jump on here, more of these shows going forward, because you bring a lot to the panel, my friend. You always do. So
thank you.
All right. Go over to our buddy Z. Hey, Z.
What is happening, YouTube? You are listening to Immortal Coil, your future minister of whiskey mysticism. Revolution is my name. You can find me on YouTube at Immortal Coil, where I do a little show on Wednesdays, 6:45 p.m. Wednesdays, Pacific Standard Time, called The Savage Perspective, where we pick apart the news, because we have a saying, when the spin is real, the truth is savage. Thank you.
Oh, I like that.
That's a great slogan.
Yeah, that makes the hair on my nut stand up. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Is that why it got dark all of a sudden?
You gotta shave that shit, bro. It's 2021.
You run through more chainsaws.
When's the last time you watched porn, bro? The trends have changed.
Oh God! Go over to Zach, aka Brightest Day, my co-host. Oh, I'm so practice this actual podcast on Thursdays.
Are we actually going to have that this week, Drew?
Yes, we are actually going to have it this week. I've been a slacker for a couple weeks. What can I say?
Hi guys, Brightest Day here. You can find me here at Brightest Day on YouTube, Odyssey, Minds, which I have to pull back up, Twitter at Brightest D. It's that without the 4 and the Y. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, booked with Brightest Day. I read classic sci-fi novels to you, including Dune on Wednesdays. I am trying to finish up all of the books I'm reading by the end of the year. Should be easy enough to do. Tuesday, and in like 5-10 minutes here.
Bro, you're suspended on Twitter.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Brightest D on Twitter at Brightest D.
Is it with the 1?
No,
Okay,
it's not.
so
Sorry, confused me.
You're good.
Jesus,
I was gonna say that was almost a good moment.
That was almost a good moment.
I know. I was gonna say, holy shit, you've arrived, bro.
No, you're good, bro. I followed you.
After this is my plastic crack party model building stream. Tonight I'll be building one of the 144th Xenogears that I picked up about a month or so ago. Thursday night is my gaming stream and Pegasus Actual podcast. Love you guys.
Yep. And of course, we'll go to our guest of honor, the man, the myth, the legend, my buddy Real. I love Real.
Yep. So my name is Chase Geiser. The best place to find me is twitter.com/real Chase Geiser. That's RealChaseGeiser. And you can go to oneamericanpodcast.com. That's American with an N on the end, oneamericanpodcast.com, and subscribe to my podcast everywhere there are podcasts. I'm on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, you name it. So thanks so much for having me. It was an honor and a pleasure to be with all of you. I appreciate the invitation to come on.
Oh, man, yeah. Brother, you were epic. You were epic. I told everybody when I put out that promo tweet this morning, you wanted to kill our show. We got it tonight. And man, we had it times 300 tonight, man. It was crazy. Hail to my buddy DJ Odyssey. What's up, bro? Jeez. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm just incredibly thankful for the great panel we had this evening, the great show that we had. God, I could have kept the conversation going for hours because, man, I just love talking to you, Chase. I mean, shit, man. We can shoot the shit about pretty much anything under the sun. That's why, you're one of the most awesome friends I've made here recently. It's just because, dude, I can legit talk to you about anything. Although,
thanks, man. Yeah, you guys are all awesome. You got a good crew here.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though. Truth be told, folks, there's times like I'll be in Twitter Spaces and I'll be bullshit with people in different Twitter Spaces, and Chase will pop in and be like, "What the fuck is this combo?" And he dips out, but it's just like
check in every once in a while, see what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, man. What I really want to do one of these times, man, if we could pull it up, and I don't know if you're a console gamer or a PC gamer.
PC.
But But
I played the whole entire first chapter of Red Dead Redemption the other day, and then when I logged back in, it didn't save any of my progress.
Oh, we need to find something on Steam that we both have, and we need to get together for like a fucking gaming stream sometime.
We need to play Sea of Thieves and do it in conjunction with a commentary on Shadow of Kraken.
Yeah.
You challenged me to Deadlock first.
Yeah, I did, Zach. We're gonna and I'm gonna do that one of these times because
you guys play Fortnite?
No, there's more than enough people
I know people that play Fortnite, and I'm like, I don't consider Fortnite a game, so bye. I just don't. I mean, that's your cup of tea, cool, but I don't play that. Like, I like cross-platform stuff. I'll do like Rocket League or something, but I cannot do fucking Fortnite, man. It's just, oh god, the game drives me up a wall. But no, we'll have to get together and do a gaming stream sometime for
Sounds
sure.
Like a lot of fun.
Oh god, it would be, and and then. We could also make it like typical white girls. So we'll do like White Claws, cocaine, and video games. So that that would be even better.
Ain't nothing better when the wind cuts cold.
That's right. All right, folks. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, man. We will see you guys next week, next Tuesday. I'm sure that we'll have another great show lined up, another epic guest. And we'll definitely again have Chase on in the future. And until then, yeah, take care. So say we all.
So say we all.
So say we all.
They think it's right to murder. They want to murder. Look at all the people, and they get a kick out of it. A sexual kick out of it. The whole thing, I think it's sick. 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 The whole thing, I think it's sick.
Spending $150 million on cocaine would make sense.